Hi, welcome to Nina's Bag. Nina's Bag podcast is a podcast that I developed to create a safe space to have conversations about all kinds of great topics. Today, we are blessed, and I'm so excited to have the Commissioner of Ulster County Human Rights. I almost said, sorry, there's so many Ulster counties. I'm going to do that again. Today, we are blessed to have Joe McDonald, who is the Commissioner of Ulster County Human Rights, a super important position. Joe, I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited about this. We have my
I'm Melissa. I'm Nina's co-host, and we're together. We're here to remind you that our voices matter.
awesome, awesome, awesome. I like that. So Joe McDonald, I wanna just if you were cleaning up my intro for you, which it definitely needs today, what would you have said?
About myself?
Introduce yourself better than I did because I don't like what I just did.
Well, I'm
You-
I'm a lifelong resident of Kingston, New York.
Love it. He's a
Grew up
natural.
here. My family's from here, and it's what brought me back when I went away to college. Like you said, I'm the commissioner, director of human rights. Since I've had the role, they changed the title from the commissioner to
Happens.
director. And before that, I worked with New York State in Office of Children and Family Services for about 14 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
I can't wait to get into
I
that.
have a wife, wonderful, beautiful wife. She's also very
That's
active in the
amazing.
community, and 7 children. And
Can you look at this? Can you look at the camera and say that? Did you have 7 children?
7 children.
He looked 10,
My wife and
maybe 18, and he has 7 kids. Woo!
yes, so I'm very blessed.
No, you are. You are. I'm so glad to have you. So I'm so glad that you cleaned up my intro because that wasn't I was so excited about having you today that I was like, make sure you do it like this, and I have 20,000 things swirling in my mind because of my crazy day today, but no excuse. I'm glad you cleaned that up, Joe. So Joe, I I want to talk if we can, if you don't mind, if we can talk about your who Joe is. Who's Joe McDonald? Like you
Mm.
gave us a little snippet, but you're being very, very modest right
Hmm.
now. And I want to go in a little deeper. So you're a lifelong Kingston resident. You have a great family, and I just want to,
Thank you.
yeah, you don't always meet a really, really cool family. He has two adorable sisters and a brother that's just as handsome as him. Don't tell him I said that. But he has a really nice
He's
family.
single.
Yeah, and his mom is sweet as she can be. He has a really beautiful mom. Um, and I think I've actually met extended people in your family, Joe, too, at events, and they're just very receptive people. Like you can't help but have fun with them. So
Mm.
you come from good stock,
Thank you.
definitely. Yeah. So tell me about growing up in Kingston. So you lived here all your life? Did you live in town, uptown, downtown? Where'd you live? Where are you from?
I live kind of out of town. Town of Ulster is where I grew up, near the
Okay.
Rhinecliff Bridge. My parents um, moved there back in the early 70s. I just give you a little background about my family. I come from a mixed family. My father's African American. My mother is white.
Hmm.
She's Polish and
I
Norwegian.
thought he was Puerto Rican.
A lot of people think that, and they test me all the time.
I
I
bet they
don't
do.
understand.
You're like, no habla español.
And I have a Spanish speaking wife who,
A
doesn't speak Spanish to
beautiful.
me. So
She doesn't?
I'm not learning. No, I'm trying to get her to, but I guess there's a lot of work to start from scratch.
It's so
I,
funny.
I
I
did
know
take
you
a
can
lot of
Spanish.
classes in school, but I still,
No, you got to speak it
I don't know,
more.
you got
I'm
to
trying to
use it
do
or
it.
lose it.
Headphones at night and
I
just
have
listen
them.
to
I'm
it.
about to get one of them things. You'll see how good they work. But yeah, so I come from a mixed family, and I would say early on in life, I've experienced racism on both sides
I
of the
bet you
fence.
have.
You know, um, not being white enough, not being black
I'm
enough.
so glad you made that point, Joe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because people don't know it goes both ways.
Oh, it does. It definitely goes both ways. Um, but I do have to say in my family circle, I have a very close family, um, on my mother and my father's side. So, and growing up as kids, we've done a lot of family barbecues and stuff together. And, my mom's sister would always come over and brother, my uncles, aunt and uncle would come over and some of the barbecues and family gatherings on my father's side, so, it was a close family from a child. Now, I
On
did
both
have
sides.
on
That's
both sides.
really you're blessed like that.
Yeah, I'm on both sides.
Yeah,
And I
because that doesn't always happen.
That's why
no,
you're a good man then.
it doesn't. And
Hmm.
I'm happy even to this day. We do a lot of things together as a family unit, and it's amazing.
It's funny that you say that's your the first thing that you go to because family is such an important thing. Like for the outcomes of people in general. I think
Support and everything you
that
get from your
base,
family.
right,
Yeah.
is so important. Like when I see you and your kids, your grandkids, and your your kids, I think like this is beautiful because you're giving them the right foundation. You
Mhm.
know,
But it's hard it's work,
well,
It's not easy,
it is, but the
but
fact
it's
that
natural too.
but some people come from it and they just naturally repeat what their parents put into them. Some people don't come from it, but they decide they make a valid decision. All the inconsistencies that my parents gave me, I'm not going to give that to my
Hmm.
kids. And I think that that's powerful because history normally repeats itself. So to make a decision, regardless of whether you came from good or you didn't, to make that effort, I think is family is just so important. I love when people talk positively about their family.
Hmm.
Now, do you have, because when I think family, I think I love my family. I got crazy people in my family.
Hmm.
And I
That's
always
good
think
though.
that everybody has crazy people in their family. And I love, doesn't matter how crazy it is, when it comes down to it, we are so very, very close. You know, you
Hmm.
might not always see it, but we are super, super close.
Hmm.
But I love the fact that one day I came to your house and you, your sister, and Alicia were listening to old school. I was like, his sister comes and chills with them like that?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Were
Like,
we in the treehouse? Where were we?
no,
Just out in the
I love
backyard?
their treehouse. Your
Yeah.
treehouse is
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
Tell them about that. Where'd you get the treehouse?
It was during the pandemic. Um, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything.
Oh,
So I decided to do a couple projects at the house.
who
One of
does
them,
this?
one of them was I put a fish tank in my basement, like in the wall. You never see those
Really?
fish tanks in the wall. I always thought that was cool. I said, let me do that. And then I went outside. I said, the kids need to be outside and do stuff. So I built this tree house, this platform tree house up in the tree, around the tree, and the kids never used it.
It's amazing.
So
I know. I
my
see
wife
pictures
and
of
I
it.
said, we can put some chairs up there and listen to some music, put some lights and, put a top over it. And next thing you know, what has it been like 4 or 5 years now? It's when spring hits, we're up there and we just relax after work.
That's a
It's such a
cool idea. I love that.
nice atmosphere. Plus, we can go and have conversations about things in the family without everybody in the house listening,
That's your
offer
little
some
private spot.
privacy,
Yes, I
and,
like
a
it.
little bit of intimacy as far as talking with each other and talking about life and, each
That's
other.
so
So
cool.
it's definitely something everybody should have. Everybody that sees it says, "Oh, I need one of those. I need one of those."
Yes, it's one of your
And the
happy
kids helped me
places.
build it too. So that's,
Did they?
during the pandemic, my sons, I showed them how to work with tools, how to cut, how to use a drill, how to
Wow,
measure.
That's good.
So it was a good bonding situation for me and the boys as well.
bonding is so important. That's awesome. So, all right, you grew up in Kingston, out in town of Ulster. Did you um you said you actually dealt with racism on both sides.
Hmm.
I'm glad you said that because that to me is important. Black people talk a lot about white people, this, white people that. I've done it. I'm being
Hmm.
honest. But I would never let somebody disrespect my friends. If I have somebody that I'm with, I'm very, very, I don't play that. We know that there are people are people. That's how I was raised. My
Hmm.
mother did not play that. You could not generalize anything. Um, so did you actually have, how did you, how did you adapt to that? Like being prejudiced on both sides?
You mean seeing prejudice? Because I've never been prejudiced.
No, having people prejudice you
Um,
against you.
I mean, it was something that it was part of my upbringing, it was part of my life. So it's not something that I was thrown into the pot at 15 years old and say, deal with this.
Mhm.
Ever since I was a kid, there's been racism. There's been racism, in my family that I had to grow up and understand and,
Mhm.
you know, didn't quite understand why people are like that, and it's, through life experiences, you grow up, you get thicker skin, but you also realize that there's a need out there for us to unite everybody. Because a lot of racism that I really believe is just a lack of education and a lack of just being around people that are different than you.
I
Just
wish that
when you're not
more
around
was.
people that are like
I
you, you're
wish.
gonna feel
That's a
one
good way
type
to
of way.
think. It's a
Yeah.
good way to think about it. But there are people that just teach hate. Like I can
Oh, for
say,
sure. Because they
black people
didn't
don't
grow
do
up.
this, or white people don't do this. I
Mhm.
could say that, but it's in a fun way. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Like when people often ask me to go camping, I'm like, now I know now black people go camping.
Mhm.
Just Nina don't go camping.
Right, right.
So I used to say black people don't go camping. We don't go in the woods. When my son, I don't know, he just like always like things that I never subjected him to. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I think it's beautiful for you to have to take that approach to look at it like that. Like maybe there's a communication or miscommunication, but I think some people teach it.
Well, they do teach it, and the reason, and this is just my philosophy and the way I look at things. People that have always been around hate have never
Mm,
been around people different than them. Then they're going to teach hate. But people that start growing up in an environment where that is mixed racial, like you'll go to places in Florida where you'll see no black people in that little town. So those people are going to teach hate because they don't live around people. Their kids don't go to school with people of different colors, so they don't, they have nobody checking them. But I always look at sports and I look at the military
a
and I look
great
at,
thing.
and I look at organizations where people are
Hmm.
made to be together. And once you start integrating
You have no
sports
choice.
and
That's right.
integrating the military and integrating organizations, people start saying, wait a second, you like that band too? I like that band. You like
People are
art? I like
people.
art. Oh, you can swim? I didn't know black people could swim. You know what I'm
That's one of
saying?
those
You
things.
start
We
breaking down
really
those
don't know how to
stereotypes
swim.
because you were
Yes,
always taught this way. So
that's
I
it.
really think that, the biggest way to solve a lot of these problems, just get people together.
Breaking down
I think it's
the
also
stigmas.
the
Yeah.
person themselves because I grew up on a farm and my grandfather, obviously very old, he was prejudiced and he said the N word. And my best friend, Jordan, of, oh my God, I'm how old? Holy crap, 40 some years we've been best friends. He used to come to the farm and my grandfather would say the N word. And I remember being so young and I remember thinking, oh my God, I hate that word. And
You
who
are
would I
so different,
to
Melissa,
I
though.
still talk about it to this day because he's like that was old timers. That's how they grew up and stuff. Because I was like, how did that never bothered you? Like I I never look at people by their
No,
color. I
she doesn't.
never do. I do not. I treat everybody the same. But at a young age, I knew that that word, even though I
You
was
raised
7 years
around it.
old, I knew that that was wrong. And I hate that word. I won't even, I mean,
I was in sixth grade. This is one of my first experiences with, the N word. And, when I went to grade school, it's in the early 70s. So, um, there wasn't a lot of people of color
mm,
in
Not
back
down of Ulster.
back in that day. So I think I was the only one. Maybe there was one other person in my class, and somebody called me the N word, and I was just brought up to just ignore it. You know, I was never a violent kid. I never wanted to fight over anything. I just look at somebody like that as ignorant, as I just ignore. One of my classmates told my teacher, so and so's calling Joe the N word. And I remember this teacher, I'm gonna say her name, Miss Vandenberg. She was one of my favorite teachers in sixth grade. And I remember her coming, bringing me to her desk, and she says, "I heard so and so. I won't say his name. Called you the N word." And she said, "And I don't know. I know I can't get her in trouble because this is this is 50 years almost down the road." But she said to me, she said, "Next time he calls you that name, you punch him in the nose, and you tell him I said to do it." And this is an old German lady that she got it. She's like, you don't get called
There are
that name.
beautiful people
They're
everywhere,
beautiful
Yeah.
people. And I remember
everywhere.
her to this day as one of my favorite teachers because she understood me.
She made you
See how you
comfortable
She made
and
me feel
uncomfortable.
equal. And I've always remembered her name because of that.
That's so beautiful. Um, it's funny because that's such a, but there are prejudices in so many ways
Hmm.
besides just color. Like,
There's prejudice right now on politics.
Mhm.
You know, people are using politics now as something to
hmm
be almost like racist about.
hmm
Are you Republican? I don't like you. If you Democrat,
it's
I don't
don't
like you.
feel,
See, to
And
me, that's one thing I do not like. I
it's
don't care if
unbelievable.
you can't have an adult conversation and say, okay,
right.
this is who I like, that you like somebody else. Let's talk about
And
it.
that's
It's
Have a
great.
okay.
normal
It
conversation.
makes our country great to be able to
Yes.
like somebody different. But don't
Mhm.
dislike me because I don't like who you
Or
like.
delete me from Facebook or all the
Yes.
other stuff. You're not
Yes.
my friend.
That's
It's
That's
very
like
hard.
to
very
me that's
drastic.
childish and a bit ignorant.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Like there's so many nasty things going on that are almost like, is this really happening? I keep having that moment. Like, is this really happening in this in the best country in the world? I
Mm.
really used to believe that we had the best country in the world, but there are mind-blowing things where people are forced to stand by and watch things that are like painful. It ain't just like that's not fair. It's painful. And it blows my mind. And when you know where it's coming from, it kind of makes it hard for people. I understand, but I love that you made that point because still, even in seeing what's happening, if somebody's Republican and they're decent people, I'm okay.
Mm.
I
I
don't
have a lot of Republican friends.
I don't
Just
generalize
I
like
call them
that.
good friends, and they look at me as a good friend because we don't allow the politics of what we believe in to destroy the friendship, you know?
It's being strange right now.
It
It's
it
being
it is.
strange.
Now, if you believe in something that I believe that is hurting a class of people out there, if you believe that, and then, you and I are probably going to have less conversations in the future, but I'm not going to hate you for it. I just
Exactly.
know that, you're moving further out of my circle.
It scares me to think that that anybody can generalize anything. Like if somebody does something, if somebody has a kooky dance and somebody doesn't like it, that's still their business that they
Mm.
dance like that. They can dance like that if they want to. You know what I mean? I think that as long as they're not hurting somebody, but if
Hmm.
somebody's hurting somebody and people that believe in whatever it is, the politics or the church or whatever it is, you believe that in that's okay, there's something wrong. And that's why I think the line gets very, very fuzzy. It's getting very, very fuzzy.
Yes.
So I want to actually,
I'm gonna ask him about.
yes,
Can I? Well, wait.
I want to, so I want to just before we go into his actual career, his professional, because that is one of the reasons why we have him here. I just want to talk a little bit more about some of the amazing things that you do, Joe, or have done that people don't know. Like
Okay.
I think you think that everybody knows it,
Hmm.
or you don't care if they know it, but I want to make sure that we make mention of that because you don't live near an Olympian every day. Like everybody doesn't know an Olympian.
Well, to be honest, I almost never bring it up only because I want, especially in the workplace and my career wise, I don't want people to look at my career as the work that I do more than, my athletic achievements, you know.
I think
Um,
you should be bragging about it. I'm
I,
sorry.
I,
I don't.
I'll talk if somebody brings it up. I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't lead with that because then that doesn't define me as, the athleticism I had in the past, that those were God-given talents, from God and my parents.
Definitely.
But the work that I do
So your mother,
outside of that is stuff that I choose to do, stuff that I've learned to do, stuff that, isn't just handed to me.
it's not the one thing, but it was a very big part of your life. So I want to know how did you become an Olympian? Like where were you? Did it happen when you were in New York State? Like,
I'm going to tell you, my athletic career started in the sixth grade in
wow,
Chambers School
wow.
when two things happened. One, the janitor there, I forget his name, but he saw me jumping over a car out in the parking lot. And he was like, "Oh my
Wait,
goodness."
wait, what?
I jumped over a car, like the front part of a car
Oh,
in sixth grade. And then
that's a lot.
I jumped over a little, it was a rabbit, a little car. I jumped over it long ways. And got reported to my gym teacher and so on and so forth. And then the second thing that happened was in the standing broad jump, I jumped, like they would set up an 8 foot mat and you have to jump on the mat and they measure it, when they did President's Cup. I jumped
Yes.
over the mat and
When
they
they
had to get a tape measure and measure how much further I went. And I believe, I know for sure, I jumped 8'9". And I
you
remember
jumped
in
more than
second,
your body
so
and
I
your
jumped
height
8'9". And then
in
the
sixth
gym
grade.
teacher called the high school up immediately to find out what's the high school record. And the high school record at the time was 9'1". So I was 4 inches from the high school record.
In sixth grade.
And I remember my gym teacher, Mr. Neely, made a big deal about it. And that right there made me feel like, oh, I can be a good athlete. And
So
ever
they
since
encouraged
then,
you.
I just started trying to be faster than everybody, trying to jump further than everybody. So I became a track and
Oh,
field athlete.
so you were competitive back then. I like
I
it.
did basketball, I did football, and I did track. And my track career took off in high school. And although I did get some offers to visit for football for college, I was in love with track.
Right.
So I went to college on a track scholarship. And while at college, one of my college buddies was talking about he did bobsledding the year before. And we have
Bobsledding.
the Olympic Training Center here in New York at Lake Placid. So I
Love
said,
it.
oh,
It's
yeah,
so exciting to even see that.
I'll try out.
I've
He said,
seen
you get
it.
to travel the world. We go to Italy, Switzerland, Austria. We go, all these countries. I'm like, I've never been out of it. I want to go to France, you know?
So just because somebody bought this, you never did bobsledding before that.
Never did it before. I went and tried out for it. And I remember the first time I tried out for it in 93. And I remember my first track was in Norway, Lillehammer, Norway. And the Olympics were going to be there that same season. So
Wow.
I tried out. Um,
How'd you get to, wait, you jumped over. So wait, Norway was where you tried out.
it's where I had my first experience. I tried out in the US. So you get picked. You go to Lake Placid, they have the tryouts for the team. You go up there, you do a push championship. There's a sled on wheels. You see how fast you can push it. The fastest guys get on the best teams, and then they go down the list.
I always wondered
You'll
how
say
this
one, two, three,
happened.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
Back then, there was like 30 bobsled teams competing
Hmm,
for 3 spots in the World Cup in the Olympic team.
crazy.
So I tried out. I managed to get on USA 5 that year at the Olympic trials. We took fifth at the Olympic trials. So then our U.S. Providence countries pick up the athletes that didn't make it on the U.S. team. So as a U.S. citizen,
Where would the Providence
like Puerto Rico,
got it.
American Virgin Islands, American Samoa,
Got it.
Guam, like all these other countries that
That are
are,
part of
yeah,
us.
they're part of the U.S.
Doctors do that sometimes. They go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to go in '94 to the Lillehammer. I was in the sport for 13 years. 2002, I took third place at the Olympic trials for the U.S. The first year, third place didn't go. So I was rocks, I was
Devastating.
devastated, but that's because we took on skeleton teams and women's bobsled finally got into the Olympics. So they had to find bed space.
Hmm.
So I was an alternate that year, but I just had an amazing career in bobsledding. I traveled the world. I met many people. I got many friends around the world. And it was just, it was something that I just would never take back because I just had such a great experience
Sounds amazing.
traveling and meeting people.
Sounds so amazing. So I remember in just in one of our conversations, you spoke about the some
Yes, Jamaican
Jamaican.
bobsled team. Yeah.
You made me start watching that. I started paying attention to
Cool
that
Running. That's
because
the movie.
I was like,
It's a nice movie.
who
Everybody watch it.
who knew that they could that it could be such a prevalent for Jamaica to have a Jamaican bobsled team.
Mhm.
Did you have friends that were did you ever when you were in school, did you ever you weren't doing bobsledding in school?
Correct.
Right. So this all came after that because somebody just mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
So you're a daredevil.
Yeah, most people don't do it in school. It's a sport that a lot of athletes find themselves in after the age of, you know, 24, 25.
Okay.
Because if you're a top NFL prospect, you're going to go to the NFL. You're not going to go slide on your backside around the world in minus 20-degree weather for no money when you can
Amazing.
be in the NFL for a lot of money. I mean, Herschel Walker, who was an NFL superstar, did bobsled.
Wow.
Edwin Moses, who was a track and field superstar, did bobsled. So there were some athletes that got involved. But yeah, it's a sport that people don't go to college or school for.
No, no,
Get
but I just
introduced to it.
wondered if, yeah,
Yeah,
I just wondered if you were introduced during that time, but it was
it
after.
was after.
So what is it like? This is a weird question. What's it like to be up on the top of that? Like what, like, because when you watch it on TV, you
The
can't
first
get the
time,
dust in your
scary.
head.
It's like, oh,
It
my.
seems horrifying from TV, but I can't
And you
imagine.
go down, you're just wearing
It seems
body
like you're
tights,
going straight down.
and you see the crashes that sleds go upside down. Those are,
Right.
400-pound sleds. You're like, that's going to be on top of me on this ice going 90
Oh my
miles an
God.
hour. So it's the first time I went down, it was, I was nervous. I wouldn't say I was scared. I was nervous because I just wanted to make sure I did it right.
Oh my
Because
God.
you have to brake.
You're crazy.
And I wanted to make sure I was able to stop the sled because some tracks you'll fly out of the track if you don't stop it correctly. So
Wow.
I was the most nervous about stopping the sled
Wait.
correctly.
Does it really look like that? Like it looks like it goes straight down.
Oh,
Does it?
I mean, it's like almost like a tunnel, and it doesn't go straight down like some of the roller coasters, but you'll be going down, and then all of a sudden you see a wall of ice. You're like, how am I going to take
How does
this
he
right turn?
drive?
And you just go shh, and it's like 5G forces on your body, which it feels like 5 times the weight of your body just being sucked down into the sled.
Because when you go in that little in the like the part that's covered up, I'm like, and you go in there so fast that I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
they're gonna crash into that thing. But it must be
Yeah,
there's
you
a
got to
design
drive
to
it.
it.
Yeah, you have to
Oh,
drive.
you're
I mean,
driving
the
it.
driver has to drive that sled. If you don't, you're gonna crash.
Oh
My
no.
my last, I would say 5 or 6 or 7 years in the sport. Um, I was a driver 7 years. I drove
Absolutely
for seven
not.
years, and you gotta learn to drive that thing, or because you're not just crashing yourself, you're crashing your teammates.
Mm. Oh my
Um,
God.
And how many
so
people are on the sled with you?
well, you have a 2-man sled or a 4-man sled. So it'll be the driver in one or the driver in three.
Crazy.
Yeah,
All right. So
fun stuff.
so I always wanted to know how you got into the to become an Olympian.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
athletic background. I just want to give a shout out because my son is followed in my footsteps as far as track.
I'm
Um,
starting to see where he gets a lot of
he's
this from, Joe. Like, I don't even know. It's so sick. When I see your son, he looks so much like you that it blows my mind.
Mm.
Sometimes when he's coming up to me, like I was in a restaurant, he was eating with your mom, and all of a sudden you were walking at me, and I'm like, I had to like, it's so crazy. You had to look exactly like
He
him.
does. He favors me a lot.
A lot.
Height,
If you
his
didn't
look.
know him, you'd say that's Joe's son.
Yeah, yeah.
How old is he?
He's 18 now. He's going to Indian Hills. It's a junior college out in Iowa. He's on the track team there. And I was gonna say is he broke my indoor records last year, so I was very proud of that.
I
Made
was
me feel
wondering
really
if you were
good
in.
to
So
to
explain it. I
share
think
that
every, can
moment.
you let the cam, can you look at the cam? So talk about that, how he, like you set a record at Kingston High School.
Yeah, so I had the high jump and long jump and triple jump record at the high school, indoor
Tell them.
indoor and outdoor. So we're going on. Oh my goodness, I broke the high jump record in '86. So that's almost
Holy
40
cow.
years ago.
Holy cow.
And my son broke the indoor record. He jumped 6'10". My indoor record was 6'8", so he beat that record. And then he broke my indoor record, which was 24 two and a half. He jumped, no, 24 one and a half. He jumped 24 two and a half. So he jumped 24 four and a half.
Whoa.
So he broke my indoor. And at the time when I broke the indoor record 40 years ago, it was
Wow.
it was the state record. So I was the
Wow.
state record holder.
So what, between you breaking the record and your son breaking your record, Were there other people that broke those records?
No.
No.
So that's the piece that you're
My
missing.
record,
They always
yeah.
kind of bait you into.
Well,
So,
I said he broke my records.
yeah, but you didn't say that it wasn't broken.
Well, they wouldn't be mine.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, what I mean is no. So someone else could have come after. It's one thing for your personal, your son to
Mm-hmm.
break your record,
Right.
but no
I
one
see.
broke your record.
Correct.
You missed that point, Joe.
Right.
I mean, is that,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah,
I
like
know what you're saying. Yeah.
that's a very, very important point. Like
Yeah.
of all the people in this universe
Mm-hmm.
to break your record, nobody broke your record from back then.
From
Until my
40
son.
years.
Yes.
Your son,
Came through.
that I got chills when I heard about it, and I got chills just now again because that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That's like
It was
some,
great. The newspaper did an article on it.
did
It was
they?
awesome. Now we have a little rivalry because he didn't break my outdoor records. So we share records at the high school, which to me, not to my son, but to me, it means more
It's so
because we
good.
share
Oh
records.
no, Joe
No,
is so
of course, my son
competitive.
wants them all and, leave me in the dust, which is fine, which would have been fine too. I was expecting him to break all my records. So I'm glad he left me a
Of
couple.
all the people, though, that's so amazing.
So I said, hey, and I named my son after me. I said, listen, if somebody breaks my record, the name's going to stay the same. It's going to be my son.
That's really
So I
weird.
told him the same joke. I said, Joe, you have a son, you got to name him Joe. So if he breaks your record, the name will
That's
stay up.
crazy. He's a lot like you, but he's more conceited. He's way more
Yeah.
conceited. Joe, and I hope you watch this, Joey. But he's so cute. He knows he's cute.
Yeah,
Like
he's in college now.
Oh,
He's figuring it
handsome.
out. He's
Super handsome.
figuring out life, and he's going to be all right.
Yeah. But that's incredible. What a story for him to be able to tell his child.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Different.
Mhm.
Wow. So, you mentioned your family. Your family is an amazing family. Your wife
Thank
is
you.
an amazing wife. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. She knows the way I feel. She's like different. When you and I used to talk, you were telling me, no, you got to meet my wife. My wife. Very few men talk like that about their wife. And I told you then, and I'm telling you now, I think that is incredible. He told me about her before I met her. He's like, but it was his expression when he was telling me. He said, my wife, you, no, you got to see my wife. My wife is beautiful.
And incredible.
I have to say, you choked up a little when you did the one speaking event with her. I remember, and I was like, wow,
Where was that?
really,
When,
that was over in,
When we were doing the one over there at CCE, when we were talking about human trafficking, and
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
I tend to choke up a lot when I talk about my family, and I'm not going to do it on this show, but I talk about my kids and my wife and my family. I'm in Kingston because of my family. I've been around the world. I've been all around the country. There's many places where I could have settled down, but I had to come back to where my family was because we are very supportive of each other. And it's just so important for my kids to grow up seeing how supportive we are as family. So they continue to do the same thing with their siblings and their extended family. So, but yes, my wife is just incredible and
she is, I love
the biggest
this work.
support system
So,
and vice versa.
I was just going to say, you both support each other. I
yeah,
love that.
she's big on Joe. Like, and I think that's so nice to see because people thrive to hear negative and they want to see negative and they don't want,
Mhm.
it's just not, and people don't highlight that. Like if there's a couple that's really beautiful, they don't,
Protect what
you don't hear
love.
people talk about, they hear them talk about all the negative that happens in a relationship.
Mhm.
But you're blessed and she's blessed and but I have to say, I always say they're the Brady Bunch. They are the Brady Bunch, right?
Yeah.
They are the blended family. He came with his, she came with hers. They're the
And they
Brady
all
Bunch.
get along, and it's so
Crazy.
great to see that. It's so great to see. We're not allowed to use step brother, step sister,
It's
half sister.
funny.
We're not allowed to use that in my house. Everybody's brothers and sisters.
Right.
Period.
Right. I
And
love
you'll
that.
always grow up being that way. And when you introduce your sibling, you say, "This is my brother," or "This is my
Right.
sister," not "This is my half sister" by somebody. Don't
Right.
say that. That's because that takes away that like
Minimizes
it
their worth.
minimizes your worth, and
And
we don't want to do that. You're just as important as
I love
the
that.
next person, and you're just as loved as the next person. We're
I
all
agree with
family.
that. My sisters that are from my father, They're my sisters. Like I
Mhm.
don't look at it any different. And that's my mother. They lived in the house with us. That's just how it was, and it should be. I want to ask you how did you, what first drew you in what you're doing today, which is human rights? What drew you to do human rights?
Very good question. Like I said, I worked for New York State Office of Children and Family Services in a variety of positions. I worked in juvenile corrections. I worked in daycare, division of daycare. Um,
When you say you worked in the
so I was a licensor for New York State Division of Child Care, and we're in charge of. I worked in Rockland County.
okay.
That's where our office was, but we were in charge of 7 different counties. So all
Wow.
the daycare centers in 7 different counties, Sullivan
Wow.
County, Westchester, Orange, Putnam.
You checked on them
We had to, so I on my, I probably had 80 programs in my
that you
folder
had to
that
visit?
I had to visit once a month. Is
What?
that right? Once a month, once every 3 months. Yeah, four
Even
times
once
a
every
year.
3 months.
4 times a year.
A year's visit
I had
is a lot.
85 programs I had to visit 4 times a year.
That's a lot.
And then I got promoted to a supervising licensor. Um, and then from there um, I moved to Albany, become a to work in our corporate office. So we were in charge of all the daycare centers throughout the state.
That's
So
crazy.
I
I didn't even know
supervised.
that such a thing existed.
Yes, there's over 14,000 daycares, home base and center base in the
Wow.
state, and they have to follow regulations, state regulations, and it's the licensor and the supervisors that make sure they're following these regulations so that kids are safe. You want to
That's
make sure you're
right.
sending your kid to a program that's safe, and you can go online and look a program up now and see if they have any violations, why they get these violations, so you can pick and choose where
Interesting.
your kid goes.
You can go online to
You can
find that?
go online, OCFS website, and you can
Mhm.
look up daycare, childcare, and you can
Interesting.
find every daycare on there. You can find if they have any violations.
Oh,
Um, and,
interesting.
and and what they did to correct them. Everybody makes mistakes. So what did you do to correct those mistakes? And you want to make sure that program doesn't have the same mistakes over and over
Of
again.
course.
So then I moved into a supervisory position. I was in charge of doing background checks, criminal background checks on everybody that worked with kids. I was also supervised the enforcement unit, which was in charge of disciplinary actions against programs that didn't follow the rules.
Wow.
But while I was in Albany working with the state, I also joined some diversity, equity, inclusion committees
Awesome.
for daycare and for employees. And that really got my wheels turning about, working in DEI
Right.
and making sure that, uh, um, everybody's treated equally and safe. And
Meaning workers or the,
um, daycare programs that they're not only taking certain kids,
got it.
every kid is welcome,
Got it.
that they're not only hiring certain staff, every staff is welcome.
Wow.
So you want to make sure, that the artwork that goes up in the program reflects the community.
It's inclusive.
Right. So
Awesome.
making sure everything's inclusive, make sure you're celebrating all holidays.
I
You
love
know?
that that there was a policing, so to speak,
Yes.
that that somebody checked on that because it's very, very important because at that stage, daycare is a very
Hmm.
important stage for kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is where you're establishing,
And this is where you learn
right?
and this is the first place where you start seeing conflict of what I'm learning in daycare different than what my parents are teaching me.
Mhm.
Yes.
I know I
Kids learn a
like
lot from
Michael.
other kids.
I like Michael. Michael's a nice kid.
Kids
But
learn
my
a lot.
mother said that he's
Yeah,
different than me, but we're the same. The kids start learning that at a young age. So the state does a really good job of being inclusive and preaching diversity and embracing diversity and making sure it's shown in the daycare.
that's
So
so good to know.
so that got me wanting to work down that area. And I was going to Albany and back every day.
So
And
you're living here,
I
commuting.
was commuting. And when I saw that this position opened up, um, it was a bit of a pay cut, I have to admit, but it was more than money. At the time, I just felt like, I want to do more in my community. There's not a lot I can do in my community when I have to go to the state, I mean, go to Albany
When
and
you're
come
commuting.
back and, the 2 hour commute there and back. And then my kids have games and stuff after school that I was missing. Like there was so much going on that I was missing. I said, I want to work
You
closer
wanted
to
to
home.
do the family thing. You enjoyed doing the family
I
thing.
enjoy the family. I didn't want to miss out on the family
That's
things.
awesome.
So, when this position opened up, I interviewed for it. I just thought it was a perfect fit for my experience, my life experiences, the work that I was doing with the state, my investigative work that I've done with the state for many years. I just felt like it was a good fit for me. And, I was so happy to take the job. I love my job.
Awesome.
That's
Wow.
very rare for people to say.
Yeah,
They love
it
their
is.
job.
Uh,
So it's
Yeah, it
nice.
is.
Now, I could say I love my job. I don't love the paycheck.
Okay.
Mm.
But it's worth
But it's
it.
not, it's not, I can't say that it's a terrible paycheck either because,
Sometimes to get things that are principle
yeah,
in life.
principle is more than money.
Yeah.
So what's the big misconception that people have about human rights?
I would say human people's biggest misconception is they feel like if they're done wrong in any way, you've violated my human rights. As a human, I have, you know, you shouldn't talk bad to me.
Well
I have the
put.
human right for you not to be talked, not to yell at me.
Well put.
Like things that aren't necessarily supported by human rights law, but I just felt like you're doing me dirty. People believe that that's a human right. So we get a lot of calls where people say, this is going on in my life. I'm walking down the street, somebody called me the N word. You know, those are very unfortunate things that are happening to you. But as far as human rights law, if you're being denied services to a restaurant or to a hotel or some other services like that, that's supported by law. That's discrimination.
So the big misconception is people think that anything somebody does wrong to them is a human rights violation.
Correct.
So I want to put a pin in that. I'm sorry, do you want to
No.
ask a question?
I do want to ask a question. I want to know what it's like in your day-to-day work. What does protecting human rights actually look like? Like, what do you?
So I can give you some examples, and I get that question a lot, and I don't like to use specifics because we have a bit of confidentiality with the people that we serve and help, and I want people to know and feel comfortable in the future if they're going to reach out to my office with the human rights
That they're going to
issue,
be respected the
that
same
they're
way?
not going to talk about their case down the road because people are going to know who we're talking
That's
about,
awesome.
especially on particular cases. But we have cases where a person feels like they're being treated differently by their landlord, and they happen to be of a different ethnic
Ethnicity.
background. We would call and make conversation with the landlord, and we would try to see if we can get the landlord and the tenant to meet together so we can all sit down and talk about it. And it just could just be a misconception. It could just be he don't like you because he don't like you. It has nothing to do with color, but it could be something else. And I think what we really try to do is we can get two voices talking together. Like I have said earlier, you know,
Mm.
you start finding out things about each other that are
Very important to
the
do
same.
that.
Yeah, if you listen, if you
Right. You
actually,
have to listen. You have to
yeah.
listen. But you can't, some people it's very hard to change. If somebody's an older person is set in their way, it's set in their way. But when you bring the Human Rights Office on board and they're looking into the situation, um, people are finding out, especially nowadays, it does hurt your bottom line if the word gets out that you're being discriminating to other people. You know what I'm saying? So people don't want to be on that side of the woods. I love the internet now. I love TikTok, the way you see people out there, they call them Karens or whatever, but they're being very
We're focusing on them.
racial.
Yeah.
And then they blast them on TV. Next thing you know, they lost their job or their business is suffering. So there are things out there that you can do to deter people that are not living on the right side.
Sometimes people do things on their own time that they think does not affect them
Mm-hmm.
professionally. And I think that's another misconception. Like people think that, well, I wasn't at work, you know what I
Mm.
mean? But you're representing something. So
And another thing we're getting a lot of lately, and it so happens I have this here, is service animal and emotional support animals. A lot of people get those confused. You know, if you have a service animal, it's
Good
due
point.
to a disability. The animal is trained to do certain tasks based on your need and disability.
Emotionally, excuse
So
me,
that's a different one. So service dog
or according to your
is
disability.
different than an emotional support animal. So service service dogs are protected by ADA law.
Compliance.
You cannot deny a person access to your restaurant,
Uh-huh.
hotel, store if they have a
So give an
service animal.
example. Give an example. I'm thinking of one. Like, so am I correct in us in thinking that someone that's blind that has a service dog,
Yep.
they are definitely they fit the you have to actually be in compliance by allowing them to bring that dog into your business, whatever it is. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
But
that's
even if they're
because of
not
a dis
blind, even if even if, so here's, I got this do's and don'ts. So these are the two things you're allowed to ask and things you're not allowed to ask for a service animal. You're allowed to ask, is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? Your answer could be yes or no. That's it. And you can ask, what work or task has the dog been trained to perform?
Hmm.
You know, sometimes the dogs are trained to go, sometimes the dog are trained to fall underneath you so you don't hit your head. You know,
Wow.
if you have having seizures, or sometimes they're trained to turn you over onto your side, or sometimes they're trained to go get you, you know, some sugar or your medicine out of your pocketbook or
Mhm.
something that you need. So they're trained for different tasks. You
Got
can
it.
ask them that. Um,
Wow.
they're not
That
required to answer you, but you can ask them those questions. You cannot ask um, them for documentation to prove that their dog is a service animal. So a lot of people think that you have to show them. You don't, and you're not allowed to ask the dog to demonstrate their tasks or
yeah.
ask the person what your disability is.
That would be horrible. And that is definitely prejudicial when you
Right.
ask. It's like somebody that is, and I'm going to use this, I'm going to throw this out there, and it might, hopefully, it won't take us anywhere else, but I actually have a lot of respect for people that are LGBTQ. And if somebody has had a surgical procedure, and they have changed their sex or something, you're not supposed to ask them that. And I learned that from tripping over it. That's how
Hmm.
I learned it, you
Yeah,
know.
dude.
Matter of fact, I was in your position when it happened. It's
Right.
crazy
But
because
and it's educational, especially in
it's
that
definitely
there's so much
educational.
education. So moving on past this, because that brings me on to another point. So
Mhm.
September is Service Dog Awareness Month. So it's very
Wow.
important for people to, you know, understand that and understand the rights that
I'm so glad you
service
noticed that.
dog owners have. Now, emotional support, th- they don't they don't have to allow an emotional support animal into their restaurant, because an emotional support animal can be any animal. You can have a 20-foot python be your emotional support animal.
Ooh,
You can have cats. You can have a ton of pigs. You know, you can have a ton of things. I think the only service animals right now are dogs. And I believe there are some pigs actually, but dogs
Mhm.
are in New York State, service animals are dogs. Um, so you talked about LGBTQ.
yes.
So in January, Jen Mesker signed the first executive order. Number one was the protection of transgender individuals and the prevention of discrimination.
That is amazing.
One of the tasks my office was asked to do is come up with an action plan based on the executive order. And we've worked up 5 phases of this action plan. We're working on phase one right now. November happens to be Transgender Awareness Month.
I have to
So
get that calendar, the monthly calendar of
yeah,
what they're with, because there's
I
so
need
many
that.
things.
I need that so
Yeah.
bad. I just look things up and like, oh, there it
Yeah.
is. It's coming up. But
So
it's
November
gonna
is, if you can just repeat that again, November
November is Transgender
transgender.
Awareness Month. And our first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a community listening session. Our office, we're working with some of the people on my board of commissioners, Human Rights Board, and we're also working with the Community LGBTQ Center, um,
That's awesome.
trying to put something together so that we can at least have our first listening session. And the listening session is just that. We're here to listen, to find out what challenges you're having in the community, and then come up with a way to see if we can help.
I can't thank you enough for that. because a good friend of mine, Angelina, I had her on here, and she talked about from the beginning to where she is now. And now when we have conversations, it's a very fearful conversation. So there are a lot of things changing in this world that affect
Yes.
way more than just black and white people. It's amazing.
And understand the current administration right now is really attacking the transgender community.
And that's why me and
And
Angelina have been having. So after she came on my podcast,
Mhm.
I actually messed up the episode with her. So she has to come back. The sound didn't come through. I didn't have my amazing Dave then. So I messed up the sound, and it was the best conversation. I'm so upset about that. So I just talked to her this week about, or last week, about coming back and repeating that session. She's like, no problem. So I think she's coming Tuesday or Thursday of next week. I have to see when she's going to bring a friend with her.
Okay.
I would love to introduce you to Ange. You might even know her. I'm sure the county executive knows her.
What's her name?
Angelina. What's Andy's last name? Holy cow.
I may have.
I
I'm
know the
so
county
bad with
executive
names.
knows her because there was an
Me too.
incident that happened.
But if I see a face, I'm like, I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Face.
I'm bad with
And I'm
names
old
too.
enough now to where I don't mind telling somebody, I forgot your name. I'm sorry.
So true.
You know?
So very
That-
true.
When you're young, you're embarrassed to say it, but
No.
no, I'm
No,
so
it
forgot
happens
your
right
name.
off
But I
of
want to
me.
know it again. Please
Yeah.
tell me your name.
Yeah, but I'm going to bring Ange back on, and I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, and I'd love to connect you with her. Even before you do your listening session, if you want to come on here to air it with people so that that people can see what Human Rights Commission is doing to benefit this topic because it's a hot one. It's a very,
Awesome.
very important one. So I would love to coordinate that.
And that's the first phase because there's also, we're going to look at our internal policy and procedures to make sure that,
It's in
they're
compliance.
inclusive.
Because and that's so amazing because we have to look at things because there's so many things that have been looked at. Um, someone just recently said they didn't say in as etiquette a term that I'm going to say, but there are things that were planned that we now have to react to, and it's kind of after the fact. So you have to actually check things that you wouldn't even think that you have to go back and check because it's making that much of a ripple in people's lives seriously. Like LGBTQ people and trans people are seriously being affected. Like my friend was looking into moving to Canada. That's kind of crazy.
And it's sad to
She
think
has
that
so
you
much
have to even
investment here.
make those conversations with your family and your close ones. Like I'm thinking about leaving
It's
because
bizarre.
and what's happening in
Because I'm being targeted.
our Hispanic community is just awful.
It is.
So
I was going to bring that point up.
if we can sit here and see that happening to that community, the trans community is feeling a little pressure there too,
I think
because
black people are next. I'm not even going to lie.
somebody brought up the fact that interracial marriages might get taken away again. I'm like, that's impossible.
There are things that were planned.
Interracial.
I believe, honestly,
That would never go.
you ever see a movie and the movie's so far out there, but you're like, and then years later it happens. You're like,
Yes. Yeah.
like somebody knew about this.
Yeah.
I believe in that. I believe that things are, especially things that, because there are technical things that are being done right now, and I follow those a lot, that are very, very surprisingly covert.
Yeah.
They're being done covert. Like
Covert.
a lot of things are being done bluntly that we're watching, but there are covert things that are happening that people are not aware of. And I don't like, it's one thing for me to be aware, but if other people that are going to be hurt aren't aware, that bothers me. It bothers me tremendously.
Yeah.
I want to put a pin in this if we can.
I got to
Sorry.
ask him a quick question.
Sure.
Sorry. I have to
No.
write my questions
No.
down because I get
Go,
thrown
go,
off.
go.
How do you personally handle the emotional toll of hearing so many painful stories? Because I'm sure you.
Good question. Very good question.
So
Depth.
I've always been a person, and my family can tell you this,
He's militant.
I don't,
mean,
I
military.
don't make decisions based on emotion. I try to take my own emotion out of it, and
He
I'm
can
very
do it.
logical. I'm
That's the word.
very factual. I want to see the facts. I know you're hurt. I know this situation may have hurt you, but I need the facts. I need to be able to see it. Is there video? Let me see the video. Let me, because the story you may be telling me might be fueled by emotion and pain. But stepping out and looking in, you may not realize that it may not be what you thought it was,
Mhm.
you know?
So that might bring pain
Yeah.
in addition to that person
It, it,
to find out that does anybody ever, I'm sorry,
No,
did he answer your question? I didn't want to.
I
So
think if you still,
in a situation like that, what, let's say it's like a letdown for the person. They think that this is solid, this person did this to me,
Mhm.
and you show them logically that's not really what happened because I know you've experienced
While
that.
also being empathetic to their feelings, because
He's so
it's
smart.
very understanding
So smart.
that you're going to feel this way, and I'm sorry that you're feeling this way, and I wish I can help that part of it. But let's try to fix what's actually happening and find some resolution. I may not be the one that can help you, but I'm going to find you somebody that will. I'm
That's
going
so
to
you
find
can
you the right answer.
actually leave the job or whatever and go home and not think about
Uh,
any of the cases and stuff.
a- absolutely.
Mm.
he.
And
If anybody can do that, this man can do
I tell
that.
you what, because none of my cases involve children or the harm to children. I couldn't work for CPS because that type of work I would take home, and I would be, it would devastate me to make the right or wrong decision on who's going to take care of this child. It's tough. When I worked in the correctional facilities for youth, I took a lot of that work home because there's kids there that don't have the family I have. There's kids there that this 15-year-old, I brought him a deck of cards for Christmas one time, and he's busted out crying. He had never had a Christmas gift before. And I
That's so
I
crazy.
teared up because of that, because I'm like, it's like you don't realize the life that other people live sometimes different than yours. So, anything that
Wow.
working with kids like that, it'd be tough. I would definitely take that work home. So,
I had a question. How, all right, you are the human rights director now.
mhm.
How how'd you hear about it? How'd you hear about that job?
So it's a funny question. It's not a funny question, but several years ago, I worked for the state. My wife worked for the county. My daughter was, graduating high school, and she was going into the military on Aaliyah. And I was talking back then. I said I need a county job so I can get back, so I can work at home, so I can work in the community. I talked about that years ago,
Because you wanted to
and I
be
was
around
waiting
your
for the
family.
right job. I didn't want to miss none of my son's football games, my daughter's soccer matches, my daughter's chorus, I didn't want to miss all those things. I
That's
was
so
missing some of them. So I
beautiful.
wanted to get back to Kingston in this area so I can be a part of that. So during that process, but I had to find the right job. I wasn't just going
Right,
to leave, and the state pays decent money, so I couldn't just leave for any job.
right.
Um,
Have to take care of your
I
family.
have to take care of my family. The bills still have to get paid. So I waited, and during that wait, my daughter got a job as a sheriff. My wife got a job, working at DSS. She was a early childhood coordinator at the time. So I'm still at the state. I'm like, I'm the one that told you guys about work for the county. Now both of you guys are working for the county. So it's something that happened for a while, but now my daughter's working. Now my wife's working. Then I got the job, and it just feels good to, you know, be back at home. And now my family working for the county too. It's a good thing. Trying to get more family members involved with the county, or at least some type of government job.
I was trying to make a point, so I'm just going to be blunt.
Go ahead.
So the way Jill came, you were actually speaking to people about getting in the county,
Mhm.
and I remember when the position opened up, I called you. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I said, Joe, because you had been talking to me about how bad you wanted to be around your family. And I thought that, wow, that's so amazing.
Hmm.
And back then he was on the youth commission, the youth bureau board,
Hmm.
right? You were one of my board members. So I remember when you were asking, you were saying, well, this was supposed to happen and fell through. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I remember thinking, wow, I want to help him because he's, just a good dude. I want to, and the fact that you wanted to be down here and not commute around your family, I said, Joe, they're interviewing for this position. Do you remember that?
I remember, and I remember the reason why I didn't, and I'll just be blunt. The salary that they advertised, I just couldn't accept that. It was too far below what I was making. And I was so upset because I said, that's my job. That's a job that's for me. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So I was able to negotiate a little bit better. And I
Right.
said, you know what? Uh, I had to, pros and cons, and the pros outweighed the cons, and I accepted the job. And I remember
It's not like
you
that
were
can
really
come.
pushing for me
Yeah, but
at that, and you
that's
were
not it,
encouraging me, and I was
it
happy
was
that
just a timing
you
thing
kept
that I was
doing that.
afraid was gonna get
It,
missed, you know. I was
yeah,
like,
it was I was on the very late end of the interviewing process too,
no,
but
no, they were done.
oh,
No, they were done. And they told me no, they weren't
yeah,
gonna interview you.
yeah, yeah,
I had to argue with them. I'm like, please, no, listen, you're gonna be upset. If you don't interview this, all right. They were like, no, we already know. They knew who they wanted.
yeah,
And I'm like, just interview this man because if you interview him, I'm telling you, as long as you haven't told that person yet, one more interview?
right,
2 days I worked on them. And when they finally said, all right, what's his name? And I gave him your name and I said, this a win after that. When they met you, I said, it's going to be a done deal.
yeah.
I didn't even worry about it.
It was
With your credentials and what you were doing,
it
and
was a perfect fit.
it did.
So you
It's
guys
just,
known each other for how long?
I don't know.
Well, I'm very close with one of her family members.
One of my crazy family members. We're not even going to say who that is, but
So, so
about crazy
I've
people.
known Nina for many years, seen her functions in here and there. So I've known Nina for a long time.
I'm just going to throw this out there. When I started with the county, I did human rights and youth bureau. And it was a position that was kind of crazy. I mean, it was a very, very enlightening. I didn't know that it existed. I didn't know that there was a human rights commission or position at the county. I didn't know that that
Mm-hmm.
existed. I was a board member for human rights for the city of Kingston for some years,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like I need more. I need more. You know, when I found out about the position, it was a dual position, and to think now with all the stuff that you're doing, Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and with all the stuff that Youth Bureau does, it's amazing that
One person did both. Yes,
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
it was
I could
crazy.
imagine it because, I see what the youth bureau department does, what you were doing there was just so much work. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
There's ways that things happen and there's ways that we can actually help. Like a lot of the parents call me.
mhm,
A lot of people call me about human rights and I'm like, you got to call Joe. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because I wholeheartedly know that you're doing a great job.
And the thing is with human rights, and you said it a minute ago, you didn't know there was a human rights, and a lot of people still don't. That's why we're doing a library campaign right now. We're trying to go to at least 2 libraries each month. There's 21 libraries in Ulster County, so we're trying to pick different libraries and do a human rights awareness event so that the people in that area know that we exist. And then the libraries have been excellent at also adding us to their social media sites and promoting the event.
That's awesome.
So, the turnout is not high, but people are hearing that we're here. And that's what
Well,
it's
one of the
great.
things is I think it was a monthly meeting back in the day. It was just a monthly meeting and it wasn't external. They just met at the county and they did things, they did good things, but I think it's grown. And I think with your way of thinking that it's going to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I'm hoping that people get, if you can, Joe, just go over what the six things are that that actually mean that you actually have a human rights violation.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand what a human rights violation is. Um,
And a lot of it's in that
yeah,
brochure.
I just want because I think this is an opportunity to put it out there. So, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
Oh, you can.
Okay. So I remember when I came into the position, I had a better understanding because I thought like some of the people did.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a violation. That's another thing I want to ask you about really quick.
I can do that if you want me to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it possible to, if something doesn't warrant an actual human rights violation, do you give support for other things? Like
100%.
yeah,
And
that's very
there are
important.
things that have happened in the community that aren't human rights, but I see to it that it makes sure the person gets the help. I'll give them a resource. And there's been times I followed up with that person and said, was that resource helpful?
Right.
I don't do that for everything, or I'd be on the phone all day long. But
Right.
certain cases, I say, this person really needs help. They complain that they're calling, 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 and not getting anybody. But we're in the office, we're picking that phone up
It
every
kind
time.
of takes the faith away from the fact that they're going to get help and
Right.
continuity of care is very, very important.
Absolutely. So we make sure we steer them in the right direction. But if, the protected areas for human rights law are employment, housing, public accommodation, education, and credit. So if you're discriminated against, and discrimination is based on race, creed, color, national origin, sex, gender, sexual orientation, disability, marital and family status, age, arrest, and conviction record. So, we had people call us and say, I don't think I got the job because they asked me on my application, did I ever, get convicted of a crime? And I was honest and said yes. So they didn't hire me. So we had to look into that and make sure that that's not the case. And I was able to
That's right.
call this particular place, and this particular place said, "Oh, there's a few people on our staff right now that have a record. We don't care about that. We care about if you qualified for the job and blah, 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 blah." So we had to look into it. But in that person's eyes, it's because of that.
Well, that's very,
And
very
that's what we
good.
do. We
That's a
investigate
great
just to
point you just
find the
made.
truth out. Yeah.
Yeah, because a job doesn't have to tell you why. You know what I mean? So they just assume that that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, I'm just so. Is there anything else
There
you
is,
want to touch on,
there's
Joe?
one other thing I want to talk about. I mean, I can probably talk forever, but there's one other thing that our office is doing right now, and I just wanted to give a mention out there. We're also doing human rights uh, community recognition award, and
Awesome.
we're trying to recognize individuals and businesses and organizations um, that exemplify the value of equity, inclusion, and diversity. People that are advancing and supporting and protecting human rights.
That's right.
So we've put out nominations. Our county office has done a lot of social media out. We had an ad in the paper.
I can give you a
Every
name right now.
Yeah, every time that I speak anywhere, I talk about
That's awesome.
this. And the sad thing is October 1st is the deadline to put in a nomination. So you can go to our website um, on the county page, look up human rights. It's on our first page. It'll say Human Rights Recognition Award. You can fill it out
Is it
right
for a
there.
group? Can you do it for
You can do it for an individual or
or a
for an
group?
organization.
For the many? I'm just throwing this out there. For the many is
They
a
do
great
awesome
organization.
work. Somebody
A
has
great
to nominate
organization.
them.
Okay.
You know, it,
They
it,
actually text me while we're in this thing. I think I have. I'm supposed
they
to meet
do a
with them
great
after.
they do a great
Yeah,
amount of work for everybody in the housing industry,
they're very much into diversity,
making sure that people aren't being discriminated against. So they
equity, and
definitely,
inclusion.
yes.
With the Latino, which I'm very, very impartial. One of my missions is to help Latino people be treated like everybody else.
Mm,
And I had went to a meeting there, and there was a ton of people, Latino people, when they were afraid to come out, they were at For the Many.
mm.
I was
Oh,
like,
good.
oh, this is movement right here.
And
I
that's
like
good
it.
because that's trust. They're building trust in
That's
the
right.
community.
That's right.
So the nomination is due next week, and we're going to have the ceremony probably on the same day, but around the week of December 10th. December 10th is International Human Rights Day. So
That's right.
we're gonna have an award ceremony at that point. And
Oh,
this is
that's
the first
awesome.
year. So our nominations are coming in, they're trickling in. They should be pouring in with the amount of people we have in this community that do such great work.
One of the things, I'm just going to say this, not everybody looks at the county site. So you
Mhm.
have to find other agencies and people that are boots on the ground,
Right.
basically.
Right.
People that have their boots on the ground can put it out there
Yeah.
and have them put it
Well,
on
that's why
their
when I speak
personal site.
on
That's great.
I speak out of many different things. I always try to bring it up.
Um, I want to know before we actually close, I want to know if somebody were in a position or a case,
Mhm.
um, a legal case. I know this isn't a civil right, a human rights violation, but somebody's in a in a civil case, and there are incorrect practices happening within that case. Where would they reach out to? Do you know, Joe? I'm trying to think of the proper course of action.
Probably the Attorney General's office, if they feel
That's
like
what I was
if they
thinking.
feel like the process, if their due process is not being handled right, if they're being discriminated against, maybe because of the way they're being treated,
I don't even know if it's discrimination, but there's definitely, if I
if they're
listen,
skipping processes and not doing what they do for
or
everybody else.
finding loopholes to actually have cases favorable for one client as opposed to the other.
Yeah, that's an
When
attorney
when it's
general.
actually laws where laws are being broken, that laws that we see on black and white.
Definitely attorney general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. It's
But
just
it's the
incredible.
trust too,
It,
because
it is hard to
once you
trust.
start opening up once you start saying names and asking for help,
You'll find out that,
word gets
oh,
around.
yes, yes. And not only that, especially a lot of stuff like that, it's also politics. I'm
Mhm.
finding that politics plays a major role in helping and a major role in hurting a situation.
Yep.
So it's a fine line.
Glad you asked that
And
question.
and the way to continue to
Big
fight
statement.
through those is just have allies, have trusted people, and
Support system.
just keep fighting, not to give up, not to give in.
That's a very good point. Not to give up.
It's
You-
hard though when you're feel like you're fighting an army,
Yeah. Yep.
And
and
it does feel like that, I'm sure.
Yep.
When it's an agency that's meant to do all these positive,
Mm-hmm.
correct legal things, and they're actually the ones, and I believe in so many agencies here. I have a lot of faith. Like Joe, you're doing a great job.
Thank
I
you.
just want
I
to say that
appreciate that.
you're doing a great job, and I think that you are looking to do better even.
I'm always looking to reinvent and find a purpose that helps so
Right.
many people. I mean, I'm the type of person. My family would tell you, if something's wrong with your car, you can call me. I'm gonna come over and change your tire. I'm gonna fix your brakes. Like,
You are a
well,
helper.
notice I said family, so I don't want to get a lot of phone calls.
Don't misconceive that. Don't start
I always
calling
want
your
to do.
vice
I always
director
want to
for your
help people.
car.
So when you're in a job that I have there, you can actually help people. It's a good feeling.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
there was something I had to ask. Now I just forgot.
So
Is there anything that you want to see change within the next 5 years at the?
good question.
Um, I do. And I take the pause because I always try to make sure that the answers I give are
I
not too
understand.
forward.
I understand.
But the truth
I
is I would like to see our department grow a little bit larger. Right now, the need for extra staff just is not presented based on the amount of claims we're getting. I would like to I know there's more discriminating issues in the county that are just not being brought to the table. I would like to see them come forward, and I would like to have a legal person in our department that's specifically human rights legal, because there's a lot of stuff that come up that require some legal intervention. And we just recently got a legal person from the county that's starting to help us out. But that's great. But we had
That's
one
one
before.
person?
It's just one
And it's
person,
not specific
but it's
to you.
not their job. It's
Right.
their,
There's somebody you can go to.
us somebody we can go to when we have questions. And if you had somebody that worked in the department that this is what they did, that would be so much helpful. So you said, within the next 5 years, that would be awesome to have a designated person to just do our legal stuff that
Mhm.
available all the time. Having another staff, doing more outreach programs.
Is it
That's
possible
having a
to,
Spanish speaking person,
yeah, that's so dope. Is it possible to have community meetings? Like I know you do a monthly meeting,
Mhm.
but is it possible to go to you think where you think that there's an educational moment?
So yes, so our board members, that's one of their responsibilities, not only to help with some of the difficult cases we have and give us some directions and how to move forward, next steps, but also to do outreach in the communities. So some of the things that they're planning on doing is having like town halls in their respective areas, because we try to pick board members that represent the whole spectrum of the county, whether it be um, different racial backgrounds, different economic backgrounds, different,
Religious.
religions, different political backgrounds, and disabilities and abilities. So we try to make sure that everybody on that
That you're being inclusive with your board
inclusive
members.
with the community. So we hear from the communities, and then our hopes is that they use their expertise and all the life experiences they have to reach the community that they're more familiar with, and can bring in any topics that we could talk about. So it's all about education.
It's very
Mm.
important to me to have everyday people, and because those are you said there are people that are having discriminatory cases that don't come to you. And those are the people that I think that are not educated on how they can get to you or that there is somebody there to help. So when you say town halls, I think it needs to be a little bit more nitty gritty. And I know that sounds crazy because you're like, I'm out there, we're creating a town hall. But like, for instance, I like, I consider myself to be boots on the ground, or I was. I'm too busy right now, but if you were to have a session in each of the bigger cities and go to like the colonial gardens,
Mm-hmm.
each project has a hall, has
Mm-hmm.
a room where you can have meetings. They have parties and stuff. Meet there. Even if you do one a month, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to grow the people that know what human rights does, what actually warrants a human right violation,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have people that have had things or might possibly have things
Mm.
going on that might need to talk to you afterwards. And
Right.
you don't have to, it won't be putting yourself in a position where you're going to have an uncomfortable meeting. I think it's an educational moment to visit everyday people where they are, because
Yeah.
everyday people don't go to town halls.
And that's what we try
And
to do.
that's how people get missed.
And that's why we're trying to do a library in your town so that you don't have to come to Kingston or you don't have to go here. And, uh, just so you know, and I know you
And I
know
love
this.
libraries, but going to where they are,
Yep.
you're gonna get
Go to where the people are. I agree with that.
this
Anytime we
food for
do an
thought.
event anywhere around the county, we always show up with our materials and we're open and
But you're
willing to
missing
talk.
everyday people. Like, and I don't mean
Yeah,
that
we
in a
are
negative
missing them,
way.
but we're available to them, So
You are definitely
there
available to
also
them.
there also comes a time when, we're trying to let people know that we're here. You have to come to us.
Well, you know
Also.
what? To me, that extra step is going to really be doing boots on the ground work. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
No, I agree. I
there could
agree
be
with you.
something really, a compelling case
Right.
that doesn't warrant a lot of just the fact that whoever is discriminating against them, just them knowing that you're looking into it
Mm-hmm.
might fix it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how deep that position runs.
Right.
You know
No,
what I mean?
I agree.
I
That's
think you should
definitely.
do more live stuff, more like, I know,
Yeah,
Come
TikTok,
back,
doing like
I would like to be on more often,
come
even the
back.
radio, even where we have audiences out there that are
People
listening,
watch
that are
this stuff.
hearing,
They
and
do.
I know, and I understand that
If you like,
you're growing really good. I'm so proud of you, Nina. You're doing
just
a great.
Nina's bag, but
Well,
people
Nina's back
like
is
they
doing
watch
great.
Drew dancing. Like there's a lot of different opportunities that people, might not say, "Hey, let's come be on the show." Like Drew asked me one night at like, "Hey, what are you doing? Can you come to the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Walked into madness. It was fun. We
Yeah,
bugged out, acted
you got to
crazy.
get your dance on.
No, I didn't do the dance,
You
but
didn't do
listen,
that?
no,
Oh, you said
no, no,
sign this contract.
no.
But I do want to answer one other question
Yeah.
that I would like to see in the next 5 years, in the next couple of years,
So
is I would love to see more students involved with human rights clubs. I would like to see each school district. We have 9 school districts in Ulster County. I would like to see each one of them have a human rights club where they're able to help with the human rights issues that are happening in their
they're
schools, in
amazing.
their own hometowns, and then have a voice. And then, you know,
Love that.
we used to have student ambassadors that would come once a month and kind of report out on what's going on in their areas. And we don't have that right now. So we're really trying to get back into the schools. I do have some of my board members that are helping me with that right now, but that's something I would really love to see happen is each
Gotta comment for
school
that too. Sorry.
have a student
I went to a
ambassador.
meeting this morning and they had a table full of high school students. And this table was paid internships. And I know money makes a big difference, but they had paid internships
Mm-hmm.
working in the county office
Mm-hmm.
in different aspects. Like, I think I think that there might be a possibility that OET could link with you and provide that, because OET has a separate federal fund
Mm-hmm.
that stream that they get. So something to look into.
It,
Paid
it, it,
internships. You'll
it
get
is.
kids from
Uh,
all different walks of life.
Absolutely. And it's something that we have in the back burner. We have to develop the need for them. Uh, right
The need
now,
is there's a disconnect.
well, a day-to-day need for work.
Well,
We have to be able to justify Monday through Friday work. What are
well,
you going to
no,
do?
no,
You
no,
know what
no.
I'm
So
saying?
let's say 10 hours a week.
Right.
So, like a paid internship could be something simple. It does not have to be a 40-hour or 30-hour a day, a week
Right.
job.
Yeah.
It could be 10 hours a week where you're getting that kid acclimated. They can help you do flyers. They can, they're learning the
And
process for human
the other
rights.
drawback with that is some of the stuff that comes in is confidential, and
Yeah.
So let
uh,
them
uh,
see that.
That's
the kids should be 18 or over. There's some restrictions that would be uh, you know, some red tapes we have to get through before we can
Or a paid internship to do what you said about the
events.
schools. No, or to do to help with events or to help at the schools, to help have one
or
kid or two kids or three kids paid to start a human rights club.
Mm,
Boom. Then they're not in your office. There's no violation. There's no, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This, I bet you'll have kids dying to be involved in that group because you're gonna have kids bringing kids in.
And the thing is, I'm sure there's a lot of kids that would do that, but we have to find facilitators in the school that would run these programs. That's
Wouldn't
where
you
the
like
whole
to
thing
do
is.
that? Could divvy off a little piece of you.
he just
That
said
would
there
be
was
that would
that's
be that would be a
There's not enough.
full-time job for
Yeah.
me, and I couldn't do that.
Oh, you think?
No, nine
9
school
schools he
district.
said.
No, not for
Right.
each one, but I'm saying you start off with a model, with a base.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna start with Kingston High School to start
Listen,
because Kingston's a big city
I'm
in Ulster
more than
County.
happy to take on some help in any way, shape, or form.
Just
Is that
thinking.
did you volunteer? Was
Hey,
I'll
that?
volunteer for that.
Oh
I'll
goodness.
volunteer to start recording you and following you around
See,
doing
you got
daily
two
things, and
volunteers right there. Boom,
There you
boom.
go.
I'll put it
Just
on
like that.
TikTok and
And
everything for you.
my job actually has a commitment to surpassing the previous number of volunteers.
Okay.
So I can definitely get volunteers for you.
All
We
right.
have to.
I'll
That's
let you
what we
know.
do.
I'll let you know when we need them.
I
There's
just
a lot of planning. This my office. We do a lot of stuff to just help get the awareness of human rights out there, and that's
In
and
order to
involves.
do that, where are all these kids? Where are the adults? They're always scrolling on some social
Yeah,
media.
that's the
So
truth.
you've gotta,
That's a paid internship right
and
there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that there are kids that have been through. You could probably get a kid, a regular kid from the high school, one kid that has been through so much stuff, just personally in their home life,
Mm-hmm.
that would warrant having them pulled in a way to make other kids comfortable with connecting with human rights. Do you know what I mean? Back in the day, we tried to get kids that were on our board, on our youth board or
Mm-hmm.
human rights board. I think a paid internship for like 1 hour a month is not a lot to do. From each one of your board members, that each one of them brings a student
Mm-hmm.
for a paid internship to those meetings, because that's a motivational piece and that's good money spent. I think. I don't. Who am I though, Joe? Who am I?
I would
Yeah, Nina Dawson.
I would agree.
I'm so happy you came and I love speaking with you. And please, please, please come again. I can't wait till you come back because you're going to be like, you know what, Nina? This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because I know
All
you're going to
right.
grow because that's your mentality, Joe.
I feel like you handed me a task.
Hopefully it's a
I came in
doable
here
and a
to
good one.
now I gotta leave with more work. Oh, that's all right. No,
Sorry.
it's good. No, it's definitely
Thank you,
good.
Joe.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you coming. Let's see what's in Nina's bag.